Hi, welcome to the CE Fintech Tour focused on Moldova. We have a panel here joining us today, which will come together to discuss the nurturing of the local ecosystem, the fintech ecosystem in Moldova. Joining us today are Traian Chivriga from Sirius.expert, CEO and co-founder, Dumitru Ciorici, Chief Business Development Officer of Fagura, and Dmitri Namashco from Mozaic Angel Network. Thank you for joining us. So let's start off the conversation with Dmitri. Welcome. Hi.
Hello.
Now,
hello.
I would like to go over the landscape of Moldova, just to give it a general idea and to put the highlight on the country, the ecosystem, the potentials, the opportunities in Moldova. So when you analyze the landscape, because of course you are the premier, angel network of the country, how would you judge the landscape in terms of the ability of locals to develop new technology, adopt new technology, and how it compares to other markets in the CE?
All right. I think that we are just getting started when it comes to fintech industry, because there are several factors that we need to take into consideration. First of all, that we are, from the payment point of view, we are not part of this European PSD payment structure. So it's quite, our market is closed in that case, so we need to operate internally. And secondly, the ecosystem of tech startups in general is very young. So it's quite early to say that to observe that we have a mature ecosystem. We are just getting started in that case. Nevertheless, we can observe some of the companies and great teams that are developing fintech solutions. And here we have two of them. And nevertheless, we have another companies who are very well actually developing the payment system. Some of the commercial banks, they understand this new trend of fintech and now banking, so they're making the transition to digital transformation and focus more on serving the customers who are becoming more digital friendly, more with this online presence. So in this context, I think we have a very bright future in that case, because we have a great talent who can develop these solutions. We have new wave of tech development of AI, and all these vertical AI solutions, they in this case can be penetrated in already existing markets. So I'm pretty techno optimism when it comes to the fintech industry in Republic of Moldova.
So you see basically that the ability to develop new technologies is high, and people don't really focus on the local market as much as markets outside of Moldova. But relatively, it has an advantage, it's lower cost. Interesting. So Dumitru, I mean, you at Fagura have a very unique perspective, since you're both a fintech which came out of Moldova, matured, plus being a crowdfunding platform, you support other businesses around. So particularly you, how would you see fintech as an industry and support Moldovan development, both social, economic, and also inclusion maybe?
First of all, thank you for the invitation. Let me put the things into perspective. If we would go back 10 years ago, fintech was non-existent and or almost non-existent in Moldova. We have developed a lot. We have regulation related to crowdfunding platforms. We have the banks which are starting to innovate pretty much in the last years. So we came up through a long way where we did not have many of the fintechs options 10 years ago. Today we have a regulation for crowdfunding platforms. We have more digitized instruments for payments. We brought a lot of innovation on the market with our tools that we launched on Fagura 5 years ago, like online KYC, online signature. You don't need to go anywhere. You can do everything on your computer. So that was quite an innovation when we've launched the platform 5 years ago. Of course, the market did not stay on its place, and it has developed. We see now quite a lot of competition from the banks. We see competition from the microfinance companies. We see other initiatives, startups that are emerging and trying to innovate in this area of fintech. Of course, Moldova cannot be compared, I don't know, with Great Britain or another developed country in the fintech area, but we've made some very strong steps into this direction. The example of our platform, we are active on Moldovan market, on Romanian market already, speaks for itself that there can be built great products in Moldova that can be exported in other European countries.
That's interesting. So you basically see that it is developing and that it can grow outside of Moldova. That actually gets back to you, Dmitri. I mean, you are an angel network, so you are constantly supporting local ecosystems, local founders. Beyond just plain access to capital, when you think of human capital, meaning what do you focus on in supporting local founders? Where have you seen success, and how do you collaborate with the local ecosystem to support new projects, specifically in fintech?
All right. Just for the context that we operate as an angel syndicate, it means that we have a big community of angel investors who are ex-founders or current C-level executives or IT software engineers. So we have this smart capital where beside the funding, our portfolio founders, they can get firstly some strategic advisor in case of the sales, marketing, fundraising in our case, because our investment thesis that we are usually the first money in, providing 25, 100K of euro, and we understand that there will be not that big runway for the startup. So one of the things that we help with is fundraising and actually structuring the pitch deck, making the intros, organizing some pitching session, so the startup can get to another stage of the funding and actually to develop and expand in other market and to develop the product itself. So this is what we are actually providing for our portfolio founders, but not only. So this is the fundraising advisor to get to the next stage of the funding, and it's deal by deal structure where occasionally if there is a need to make an intro for potential customer, we do it. If there is a need to help with hiring a sales person, we help. If we have this network, if there is a need to provide some advice with or IT audit, we find a proper software engineer from our syndicate so can look out at the company and provide this advice that can be useful at this stage.
So that's good. So you basically really help early stage people to get their ideas off the ground and to move on to the next level, basically.
Yeah, we try to be as active as possible, but I understand that it's not enough. We need to work more upon it, actually, to provide, besides the support, actually, to provide the capital, because the capital is one of the most important factor for startups, especially in the fintech. In fintech, it's considered as a capital-intensive industry, and yeah, there is a crucial part to have more investors active in fintech who are ready to co-invest with local syndicates, but besides that we can bring international ones to actually to provide this opportunity that we have a very great startups here.
That's interesting. So you see yourself as a link between the local market and external markets in a way, where you help a local founder get on his feet, and then you try to guide him towards capital in other parts of the region or outside of Moldova. That's what I hear.
Yeah, this is most track record that we are the first investor in the majority of the companies, and yeah, and we would like to promote them so the startups can get another round of the funding.
Traian, you're trying to join us too. You are a promising new startup. Happy to join the panel. You are actually already on stable footing. You're growing, and you're in Moldova, which puts you in a very unique position where you are the one basically being supported, being looked at to grow and make it work. How do you feel? How was your experience in your first steps in Sirius.expert in this regard? Did you get much support from local ecosystem? How do you feel about that? What was missing? What could be better?
David, excited to be here, and thanks for inviting. Look, I'm not a first-time founder, so I've built multiple companies in my life, and I'm also leading a local accelerator program. And since 2019, we incubated more than 300 active companies to date. So we have a bit of experience of building products and services back here in Moldova. And answering to your question about Sirius, look, during my time at the accelerator, I found a fundamental inefficiency of how SMEs are dealing with their payments and accounts receivables and payables. And usually these processes are slow and outdated, and usually it kills the productivity of a founder. And ultimately, it makes entrepreneurship not fun, you know. But we really believe at Sirius that building a company should be fun, and you should run your business rather than make the business run you, you know. So the goal was clear: to cut these inefficiencies and to build a financial product that can help businesses get paid faster, manage their accounts easier, do some basic accounting, and in the end, make sure that their finances are on the float and they're profitable. So that's what we've been doing in the last year. We are building the product here in Moldova. Actually, it's extraordinarily good decision because it's really cheap for us to build a product here. I think we would spend so much more if we would build in UK or US or any other country. But being here right now, it gives us great speed in terms of validating with the customers. The customers are not very different from the other SMEs from Germany or UK and US. So it's basically the same agencies who are running stuff here. The advantage is that they're giving us feedback on daily basis. And that's quite exceptional for a startup to receive. We are actually making fun in the team that we have a team of 100 testers who are testing our product daily, and we don't need to pay for this service. We are paid for it. So our customers are doing a great service for us in telling us what to do next and how to build our product. And so far the feedback was great, and we are actually trying to see how we can expand this year to nearby countries and I don't know, somehow do some meaningful change in the region.
Excellent. So it's cool. Moldova is a springboard to other places. Dumitru.
Yeah.
When you consider Fagura within the ecosystem, it's also unique because it is a fintech, plus it supports other companies as well. You're growing yourself, plus you're looking at opportunities all the time. How do you see companies like Fagura or Fagura itself grow with the ecosystem and integrate with it as an alternative funding platform? How do you see the future, basically?
I would like to outline an important thing. for the audience, so it would understand. Fagura, being a crowdfunding platform and a fintech, basically we have two types of clients. We have the borrowers and we have the investors, both of them on our platform. Besides the business part that we do, and we try to earn money, reaching the break even already in Moldova and aiming to do the same in Romania, we have, I would say, an important footprint, social and economical footprint in our society. Why? Because we fund small and medium enterprises. What does that mean? That means that new created startups, SMEs that need funding can go on Fagura and get capital for work, get capital for their for investment, for digitizing their activities. So basically, throughout our activity, we are also having an impact, a social and economical impact in our society, boosting local economies. That means more employees, more taxes paid, which basically leads to more economical development. And as I told you, besides the business thing we're doing, we're having also an important impact in the society. Of course, we are aiming to increase our figures. Now we have more than 9 million euros intermediated through our platform. Our investors got dividends of more than 1 million euro and a half. So basically, we're trying to satisfy both of our clients, and the investors and the borrowers, which leads us to the thought that it's a needed activity, it's a needed type of funding, it's a needed type of investment diversification, and we hope that our operations will only increase in the next year.
So, to increase, you would obviously need access to more capital and access to more deals. Do you see enough deals to fund profitably? Are there more deals than there are capital in the market?
Well, this is a challenge for us because sometimes we have more requests for loans. Sometimes we have more money in the platform than we have requests. But we've done a pretty good job, and basically there is all the time on our platform requests to be funded, and in the same time we have investors coming more and more and committing amounts of money on the platform. And what we've understood until now, that people looked for such a solution for a long time, because you don't have to get anywhere. You don't have to get at the bank. You don't have to get out of your house or your office to get funding. And this was pretty amazing. In the beginning, people could not understand how is that possible. So basically, this piece of innovation we have brought to the market represented a huge advantage for Fagura. Now we see that other players are trying to catch up with us. So basically, we are helping all the market to improve in this sense of fintech tools that are being offered to the customers.
Excellent. So basically, you see access. You would think, to grow, you need access to more capital, and it's actually true for you as well, right, Dmitri? You guys actually, you guys both need capital, right? But do you guys have the same sort of demand for capital, or is it a fundamentally different one?
Well, basically, until now, we have worked with two types of capital, if I can say so, two types of capital. Investors' capital. As I told you, we have two types of borrowers. So we have investors that are coming on the platform and pledging funds to fund SMEs. And we managed to attract some funding from international donors. Throughout these programs, we have managed to attract funds for special programs. For instance, for digitizing SMEs activities, to support green energy deals for SMEs, to support female-led entrepreneurs. So we had some niched programs that we have supported, of course, with the help of international donors. So we are looking for all the time for different types of sourcing. We have the investors, but we don't mind getting international donors or other partners that want to either to make money, either to support different programs that we lead.
Just curious. I mean, would you imagine corporate accelerators or other kinds of maybe bank loans supporting you in the future, or supporting your investments? The same thing for you, Dmitri. I mean,
yes, we're open to any type of support. Either it's bank or corporate investments. Actually, it's a very good deal. I can give you some figures for the audience to be interesting. For instance, if you have a deposit at the bank right now in Moldova or Romania, you can get, I don't know, maximum 2% interest rate in euro annually. If you invest throughout Fagura, you can get at least 10% in euro. That's one of the best offers you can get on the market, like doing 10% interest annually in euro. You don't find so many opportunities. And it's one thing when you invest 10,000 euros, and it's another thing when you invest 2 million euros. Imagine interest of 10% for 2 million euros. So it's already 200,000 euros. So it's a big amount. So we are now in the phase of looking of partners that would be interested in investing more than private investors. Private investors usually work with 20, 50, 100,000 euro. But we're looking for bigger partners that would be open to invest more funds. That would mean more funds for us to support the SMEs. That would mean more interest for investors.
So basically, you're looking for more funds like that. But for you, Traian, Dmitri, both of you are focused very much on startup. One of you is a startup, other one angel network. In either one of your viewpoints, what is the most crucial points in developing the funding of capabilities and the innovation ease for startups in Moldova? What is the biggest hurdle right now?
It's hard.
You choose.
Yeah, I think the biggest challenge right now is to make a cultural shift. Many startups and companies, organizations in Moldova were used to have grants and subsidies and whatsoever type of help. But we need to focus on profitable and scalable models. We need to focus on getting back to fundamentals of building businesses, which is solving customers' problems and making money of it. So from my perspective, that's what we are trying to do, is to not try to seek any type of subsidy and help, but actually to get cash from our clients, meaning that we deliver value to them. And I think that's what is needed as a whole for the whole industry, is
that's just the business model. That's having a successful business. But that's not necessarily what's needed to grow rapidly, right? What beyond having a successful business, what is needed? What do you think? Is it just access to larger VCs? Is it access to new markets? Is it more exposure?
Look, but we are very well connected. Like Dima and Dumitru can actually say it. I mean, Eastern Europe is really well connected, and I mean we know most of the VCs and angels in the region, and we know how they're dealing. The problem maybe is in the amount of funding and the amount of potential, I don't know, funding opportunities for startups in terms of VC compared to US. But in terms of exposure, I think we are doing quite a good job in terms of us being noted by the local community. maybe there is also a challenge in people considering Moldova like some type of, I don't know, village, like somewhere place that nobody knows about. Where is it? Near Romania or near Estonia? But the country is growing, and I think in terms of the products which are developed here in Moldova, I think we don't sell ourselves too much. Like many of the biggest products, MasterCard, for instance, launched in the last years, were built in Moldova. And we as Moldovans, we need to talk more about these success stories that we have here.
Would you agree with that, Dmitri? Is it just having a louder voice?
Yeah, if I can add something just very shortly. Traian said it rightly. Maybe I would like to outline it once again. There is many investors don't know where is Moldova, don't know what its potential is. There is a lack of trust. For instance, when we tried to raise money for the first time, it was quite complicated. Like, hey, come on, come in Moldova and invest. And we had to, the thing that we've decided, let's register our company in European Union, in Estonia. So we would receive more trust from investors when they decide to make investments. So basically, in the last years, investors are traveling to Moldova, to the startup events in Moldova. They are finding out about the local ecosystem, and we see more trust because we see already investments in different startups that started in Moldova. Sorry.
That's okay. Sure.
Yeah, I actually totally agree with Dumitru that besides this legal framework in Moldova, it just sucks, to be honest. So yeah, the majority of companies that they need to incorporate themselves outside of it. So there are some advantages and disadvantages for that, but mainly why it's happening, because first of all, for the purpose of investor relations, to attract the money. A lot of investors, they don't trust legal entity as Moldovan one, so you need to incorporate outside. And secondly, the fintech problem. A lot of local companies are struggling with integrating with the payment solutions, such as Stripe or something else. So it also pushes the companies to incorporate outside of the company, and this is not in the advantage of the local economy, because all the money are circulated outside of the country. And
Of the country
secondly,
proper. But why the difficulty with integration, if I may interrupt and ask you?
I think
Why the
that
difficulty with
it's
Stripe?
already happening, because the Moldovan payment system wasn't connected with the European one, and we have quite this closed market, and we have actually the local solution that can partially cover the problem that tech startups faces. But I think that getting this exposure where you get connected with the European structure, where you have all this infrastructure ready and actually applicable for both local and international laws. Just for the instance, to take the crowdfunding law that was adopted last year, Dumitru knows very well the challenges of actually making this law, to put it into reality, and then to transform Fagura from one legal structure to another one, and to go through this transition is not easy, and it's again it takes some financial cost for that. So when we have, from one side, we say that Moldova is a great sandbox where you can test fastly the ideas and then to expand in other countries, but at the same time there are some legal issues, and all this framework make it a little bit complicated. And secondly, I think I would point out that we don't have this luxury than UK-based companies or US-based company, where our startups can build the companies as the product-led approach. And as what mentioned, that from day zero in Eastern Europe, in Moldova especially, you should focus on the sales-driven company. where you should charge the customers from day zero. Having the paying customers is the best, and then to reinvest it in the product development and in sales. We don't have this capacity of having runway of 1 year, 2 years, 3 years that can be covered through investments, because we don't have a lot of funding to cover it. That's why you need to reorganize yourself as a company to be sales driven from the beginning.
And Sirius.expert is a good example of that. The company newly founded, already on its feet, already profitable, already growing. Yeah. But considering the barriers, let's say for payment regulations and other regulations, the EU membership, which was floated recently, that would change this, right? How do you see that as a prospect? Both realistically, how would it change the markets? What effect do you think it will have?
It's already changing, I guess, right? I mean, we have already some legal stuff which is happening right now in terms of our national bank imposed or like put all the banks to accept instant payments and open banking by some certain due dates. So we are actually triggered into being compliant with the European law, and that's already happening. And yeah, and we see it as a good positive reinforcement of the fact that Moldova can be part of a European financial system. And hopefully no big things happen on the geopolitics, and we will get our share of European participation, you know. But so far the results are really optimistic in terms of us trying to be as more close to European Union as possible. And yeah, I don't know, Dumitru knows about it, I guess, more than me, but so far that's what we are feeling.
Dmitri, what do you think they'll affect? Yeah.
It's different. It's difficult to say like the exact advantages. I can speak through our example. We had to register in a different country to be able to attract more investments. Of course, going on this EU path will minimize this problem for the future startups that will try to attract investments. Nowadays, we have two types of license. One is for Moldova and one is for European Union. We had to register a daughter company in Romania to obtain a EU crowdfunding license. So this is a big headache, a judicial headache, because we have a couple of entities that we have to manage to pay the operational costs, just because we were not members of the European Union and we were not in the same queue as the European Union. If Moldova would become member of the EU, of course, all these barriers would just disappear. Now, in the last 5 years, we have spent enormous, enormous is too much said, but amounts of money just to establish companies, for judicial and lawyers, for registration companies, for licenses. Of course, being member of the EU, this would make the situation much easier and much more attractable as a market and as a region for investments.
So you do see the EU membership or EU prospects of EU membership actually changing it and already breaking down barriers, but there still are barriers, right?
Yeah, there are some regulations that are not quite. We are not happy with them, but the state, our government is now implementing the European Union directives. Basically, it's making the laws according to the EU laws, so they would be unified across the union. So knowing that we will have the same law that we are following in Romania, we're not very bothered in Moldova, because we know that in a feasible in an appropriate future, we will have the same law available in all the territories that we activate. If that would not happen, we would have to abide two different types of laws in different regions, and that's a big headache for any business or any startup.
Dmitri, but
growth.
it was your decision to move to Romania. You know, I mean, Revolut had the same issue. I mean, they registered in UK, and then they went to US.
When
they
we
had to
have
make a license.
When we have started, we did not have any prospect. We did not have a crowdfunding law in Moldova. We did not have the opportunity to attract investments. I remember we started in 2018. So yes, now it's easier to say that, okay, we are very open to the EU. EU is open with us. But when we've started, we faced quite a lot of barriers and challenges.
That's funny. But how do you feel about how do you feel about the upcoming period, the next, let's say, 12 to 24 months? Do you think it's going to be a big improvement, steady? How do you see this changing?
Well, it depends how you look at the situation. I just read the news about what's happening in the world, about the negotiations between the superpowers. So it's very difficult to make plans. Political news that we see in the world. But of course, we expect, even we might see some small turbulences. I don't know. We are ready to face them. We managed to get over the pandemic period. We managed to get over the war that started in Ukraine. These were very important and stressful tests for our team. And after that, I think we're ready for any challenge that might happen.
You forgot to mention the energy crisis, the Russian intrusion in our elections. I mean, we as Moldovans, David, we have very good, I know survival skills. You know, like it's not hard. It's not easy to somehow to.
But are you positive about the next period? Are you positive the war is going to end? Will it have a big boost? I mean, there's a lot of changes happening to Moldova. I mean, EU membership was floated, a different kind of government. The war might end. Reconstruction money is coming in, opening up the markets. You know, the payment regulations getting aligned. There's a lot of things happening.
Of course.
So will it have do you think it's going to have a positive, like a large positive effect, or do you think it's going to be more calmer than it would seem?
We will see huge increases in numbers, and I refer here to the whole economy, not just for our startups. Because why? Maybe the audience does not know, but Moldova was very hit by the energy crisis. What that meant, big problems for any producers, for the service sector. We had very bad economic indexes in 2023 and 2024. So now that we can see the war in Ukraine is going to end, of course, we will see the curve going up again, building the trust for investors and for businesses.
Thank you. And Dmitri, how do you feel? Specifically you.
You cannot be pessimistic when it is going about the tech startups or angel investment. You must be optimistic and actually to be proactive in that case, to be involved maybe in the discussion with the public sector, promoting the cultural shift in the private sector, and actually to participate in the process of this transformation, and to make actually the stuff a little bit easier. And it's always easily to say that you can go to US to go in the well-developed ecosystem and start there, or you can go in other country from Europe that it's much more developed than Moldova, but it's our choice. And at this moment, we decide to take maybe this accountability, responsibility to do our best and to see whether we can promote and take the maximum of out of the Moldovan talent. And let's see in 1 year, 3 years, 5 years how it will turn out.
Excellent. So, gentlemen, thank you all for joining the panel. Thank you all for your time, for your expertise, for your involvement. And with this, I'll close the panel. Thank you very much. So thank you. That was the second panel on Moldova, focused on innovation and nurturing the local fintech ecosystem. There's more to come as we go throughout the CE, and we focus on more markets and more business models, more companies throughout the whole region. Thank you for joining us. Bye.